welcome back to another episode of Boys Love, Love in the Big City. We are recapping episode 6 this week.
Are we?
Why?
Why are we?
Actually, guys, the show ended at episode 5.
Yeah,
and this is really just a recap of the show as a whole.
And
those first 5 episodes.
We're gonna do a series recap of the show, which was
just 5 episodes. It was a spiritual successor to It's A.
Yeah.
So
here's the problem with the show. Not even the show. Here's the problem with this episode. The episode was so
I got a drink.
Yeah, so purposefully ambiguous. Adam said it as soon as we watched it, and that feeling of uncertainty.
That's the point.
Makes me want to
crawl out of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really well done episode, and I think it's very effective at giving you the feeling that both of them are having.
Yes.
And
it doesn't feel like anyone is wrong. No, there's no one that is doing the wrong. Because
there are things that I probably would do differently, but I don't know if there's a right answer.
Yeah.
I think this is the most relationship wise, this is the most complicated
out of all
question.
The 3? Or no.
Or what do you do? And I think this happens to a lot of people. You're merely dating someone.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great opportunity, but it would take them away somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's say to Berkeley.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you go with them, or do you?
You're so annoying.
even if it is just I'm going to work there 2 years, make a bunch of money and then come back. The problem is that make a bunch of money part and come back is never set in stone.
No.
And it's always
people say it all the time, right?
People say it all the time, and then all of a sudden, it's actually 4 years.
Yes,
oh,
I'm only going to Orlando to get my footing in something, and then we'll get out.
We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about that.
So here's the thing that I think is very interesting is that I think a lot of people go through the thing where they go, oh, I don't necessarily think that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people that go through the thing of being like, oh, moving is going to solve the problems.
Let's start anew.
It's a new place and it fixes everything. That's not why we moved to Orlando.
No, that's not. I mean,
you're talking about other people?
But also us of just we say it in jest a lot.
Wanting to move to Seoul.
BGC, yeah.
Wanting to move to Seoul after this week.
Yeah. Yeah, they really have it figured out over there.
I don't know. There's something about the subway system that really speaks to me as a transit girly.
Yeah.
It's not what we're here to talk about. Well, we kind of are.
We're kind
of ostensibly here to talk about it. We ended episode 5. Namgyu and Gyuho are very sweet. He had just told him about his status, blah, 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 blah.
They got jobs.
They're very in love. At the top of the app.
Yes.
At the top of the app. I need to make that clear.
Literally
They're very
the first
in love.
3 minutes of the episode.
I do not feel any part of this episode that they do not love each other anymore.
And totally.
I think it is
different.
It is expectations versus reality.
Yeah.
Because I think...
Is the love strong enough to withstand just the regular mundane things that life throws at you?
There are... RJ, how many minutes are there in a year? Tell me. We all know.
I believe it's 525,000 and give and take 600.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah.
There are that many minutes in a year, and then add that up to however many years. Let's say you meet someone at... When did we meet? We met at 18.
College, yeah.
You were 19.
19.
And then...
But I'm old for my age. I was born to be bad.
Stupid. But then, your grandparents who were together 50 years, blah, blah, blah. 50 is a very small number.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of
life.
Everything.
Yeah.
You have to think about, in those 50 years, they probably had 6 dozen incredible days.
Yeah.
Just the best days of your life.
The best days of your life.
Maybe 60 good days.
Yeah.
Out of those 50 years.
Yeah.
And the rest were
are just fine.
regular.
They're just regular days.
And I think that is a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And that's part of the existentialism of like the middle-age crisis. What is conceived as the middle-age crisis, right? Is the like realization that A, you're going to die, and B, you can feel like you've done nothing.
But I also see that from Go Young specifically, that what we've seen about his character and all of the things that he's gone through in life. For him, it's very interesting because the mundaneness of life isn't actually like a comfort for him. Even though you could say that probably would be a comfort for someone who just has had volatile things in his life throughout his.
He is a very classic
creative, like artist.
Classic creative artist trope of being like,
and I can't just sit still. I know.
I can't.
And I was just talking to my friends about it today.
I am Gyuho.
You are
let's
Gyuho.
say that.
Yeah, let's say this.
Gyuho.
You are Gyuho and
I would be the one who would be like, I'll do this thing for 2 years to go make double the amount of salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that it was kind of crazy to watch it and be like, oh yeah.
I think the craziest part is like nothing really happens.
No.
Like they have fights in this episode.
But they are just
But there is we kept waiting for something to happen where it was like
big.
Something huge. And nothing huge happens.
Yeah.
I mean, Gyuho literally moves to China, so I guess that is huge. But
it was like a conscious decision that they all made.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't like they find out that he failed a blood test or whatever, and like the whole, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It wasn't like a big traumatic thing that happened out of
because they have these new jobs. So Gyuho is like an actual nurse now in Incheon, and Goyoung gets like a corporate marketing B2B.
It's like B2B.
He literally works at your company.
He literally works at my job.
Yes.
That's why I was like, I cannot believe I'm watching this right now.
Yeah. And it goes super well for Gyuho from the beginning.
Yeah.
He's very early seen as like, you're not even a rookie.
Yes, they all like him because he takes it on real quick.
He's natural. He's like the person you want to be a nurse.
Goyoung is all of a sudden thrusted into just corporate nonsense, which, as we've seen from him just trying to survive school, not really an establishment person.
No, not an established person at all. And he is like biting with his like manager, but like still does a good enough job to not ruffle feathers and advances to some degree.
Yeah,
that they,
even though he's like, I don't do anything different.
This is his break from his work, which is his writing.
Yes, yeah.
The problem with writing, though, is that you have to sell your writing in order to live off of your writing. And he is in a slump.
He's in a slump.
Nobody's publishing his work.
Which is really interesting because that's very interesting. I guess that's the part of the publishing industry that I don't understand. Because if you've already he's already had
successful things,
2 successful novels, right? At this point,
we are to believe.
We are to believe. So it's like, where is your literary agent? Where is Where?
But how does it work in Korea? All that work? Is it a 1-to-1 to how it is here? I mean, I'm assuming it's similar to some degree.
Where you
obviously we watched the incredible BL happy ending romance. That I really felt like
I learned everything I know about the publishing industry.
But
is it a 1-to-1 project by project, or? But then you would still have. But it
feels like So to me, the thing that he was writing,
it feels like he's doing everything.
It feels like he's been writing like essays, like he's doing essayist stuff.
Oh, and not like novelista.
He feels like he's turning into a David Sedaris, let's say. And so it's like,
I didn't even think about that.
You're basically micro publishing these small pieces in magazines and
literary publications that aren't necessarily like.
That's how it read to me.
Yeah,
not that he's writing full novels. I think he's
had a
working
novel.
on the novel that he's writing, that we see him writing throughout the episode, which is about, because all of his novels are reflective of him and the relationship that he's
Right.
currently going through. That's why they're successful.
Because there was an actual book that his mom had. Remember?
Yes.
But I'm wondering, maybe it's not a.
I think that was Blueberries, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he has done a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's not like.
But I think in order to make ends meet, how he's been getting by.
He's not writing a New York Times bestseller. He needs like.
Right. He does small writing in the meantime while he's working on bigger stuff. But nobody's buying those smaller things, which is why he has to go get a job.
Oh, I understand now. Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be like, no.
He's like, no, but that's the thing. It's from what I understand, if you've already have had 2 successful novels out there,
Yeah.
I don't see why no
People
one
would
would
say
publish
no.
your work.
Yeah.
Because like that's what an agent is for.
But I don't know. We don't know the amount. He has been featured in like write-ups about him and stuff like that. But how?
But is that
It wasn't like, oh, here's the clipping of his book at the top of the New York Times bestseller list.
It's like, here's a profile we did on this
Up and coming writer. Right.
But I wonder, like, is his writing queer? I would assume so. Is he like a?
That's I've actually been curious about the whole time. I think I would assume it is only because he says his mom has never read his books.
Yeah.
So I'd have to imagine if it's not ostensibly like here's my life as a gay man, blah blah blah. It doesn't necessarily shy away from that. It doesn't feel like Go Young is a character that is scared of saying
I'm gay,
or like putting that in his
his work.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Anyway, he gets a corporate job.
I need to finish this book.
Well, I don't want to read it until I'm done with the show.
Yeah, I know. I want to know. Yeah.
Gyuho, they have this the first fight we see them have is Gyuho gets into Seoul really late.
Yes.
For their like date
For
night.
just a date, yeah.
And
it's like you've been late an hour, like recently. Frequently. Yeah.
This starts to set up what seems to be the problem, which to me, and tell me if I'm right, Go Young was set in his ways.
Yeah.
Go Young is set in his routine. He's an independent cat. He literally calls him Tabby Catty.
Crabby
Tabby, the whole episode, which is very cute. And so he has his life the way he likes it. And Gyuho not meeting those expectations is throwing
the balance,
his thing out of whack.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he doesn't seem like a character who's like type A in that way.
Yeah.
But there's just a disturbance, and especially when with writing, with people, anybody I've ever met who writes.
Yeah.
It's there is like, you have to create.
I can't.
The space of like, I am doing creative work.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think writing, I think, is like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and then I'm going to type.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of writing is just thinking.
Yeah.
It's just sitting with your thoughts and thinking.
Yeah.
So there's like, this is the first thing where he's like late. And it's more that like Go Young doesn't fully understand how much Gyuho is putting in effort into this relationship. Because later, once he moves in, he's like, wow, I didn't realize how far you lived. And he was like, yeah, girl, I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
But then there's the scene where they have another, I'm just going to combine all the fights into one.
Yeah.
There's another scene where they have the other fight where the fight is like, I told you not to open the windows whenever you're drying.
If you're drying laundry, open the window.
Open the window because it's going to get musty. Yeah.
Which, like, yeah, girl.
And it does.
Yeah.
And so he gets mad at him about it. And the line is like, I told you before. So it's something like warranted, right? And then the thing I thought was interesting is he opens the fridge and there's one water bottle left on the bottom, and there's like almost barely a sip left in the water bottle.
It's in the fridge.
But then right after this fight, you see while he's typing,
starts refilling all the water bottles.
fills all the water bottles, and he does it 2 times in the episode. And I think it's like this, there is a part of this episode that is like Go Young actually letting in Yuho more than he's ever let anyone in before.
Totally.
Because even his last relationship with
Yoonsu?
Yoonsu? Is that right?
That's a place.
I don't remember. The last guy, he went to his place, and it was like all on his terms.
Yeah.
So now it's like on Go-young's terms, and it's like he actually has to do the active.
He's made those terms never in the mindset of like, oh, someone else has to follow this someday. It's just for him.
Because he's always been...
Because even when he lived with Mie, he wasn't writing yet, right? Like, seriously. He was just...
And it was her space.
And it was her space, yeah.
Right. He was the guest.
Yeah. It is crazy that this apartment has become like a character in the show.
Yeah. It's so small
to
live in a one bed. It's basically, it's a studio.
It's a studio.
Oof.
With another person.
It was tough.
It was tough when we had our, like, 900 square feet, technically one bedroom apartment? 800 square feet?
The last one we were in? Where we started the channel?
Yeah.
I would say it was like 750.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. It was very small.
That couch was half of our
But at least we
apartment.
had a bedroom.
That's true. That we had a door.
Imagine a studio where you cannot escape.
Yeah.
Not that I think their problem is they need to get away from each other, but I think they are both not. You have to grow the garden of the relationship.
Yeah, they're not. Their fights.
I would say it's more Go-young's problem.
Yes. Yeah. Because all of the things like Yuho are doing, I don't know. It just...
He corrects his mistakes.
Yeah.
Go-young says you have to do laundry correctly, so then he starts doing it at the laundromat.
Yeah, going to Coin Laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Go-young not kind of bending for another person.
And then he is very concerned. They go on this trip to Bangkok. And I think it's a great sequence of scenes.
Absolutely.
There's the sequence. There's the first thing where it's like, well, they haven't had sex in a while.
Yeah.
So the tiaras are like, oh, you have to like go on a trip. So then it forces you guys to have sex.
Yeah.
So they have this great scene in the tub, which I don't even say is like, it's intimate, but it's not overtly like sex.
It's more intimate.
It really is intimacy.
Yeah.
Which I think that is what they needed, specifically because they end the sequence, the entire thing, in this club, and the music drowns out to just the two of them, like clutching each other.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like they're very raw. It's so. It's not a place where you would think that would
they're sharing
happen,
that moment.
but it's really it's lovely.
It really has been like this move to live together has like taken that romance out of their relationship. And I wonder if like, is it too soon? Was it too soon? Mm-hmm. Because the decision that made them move out was that it's so crazy.
Yuho's brother
ate all of his ribs and then flushed them down the toilet. And
flushed the bones down the toilet, which caused the toilet's overflow.
Which I was like, is that like, at first I was like, that sounds really manic. But then I was like,
I just think he was probably a drunk. He was probably drunk.
He's drunk. Yeah, that's right. He's drunk. So
but also, like, remember, trash is really obnoxious in Korea,
true.
so he probably just didn't want to deal with sorting
putting it in a little
the bones in the green bag and tying the little plastic.
That's true.
That's my guess as to why.
Yeah, and so that's why he makes him. He's like, we're calling a truck right now. We're taking your stuff. We're going right now. Because he's also been traveling back and forth. He works in the hospital. He works in the club still. Like, it's a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
A lot of commuting. 2 hours of your day.
Incheon is not close.
No. I mean, like, it felt close because we drove or like we were in a car.
We were very...
We were
very lucky to have a personal chauffeur named David.
Named Kano. What's interesting is they were like, they're not using like the airport train, but I don't know if they just probably couldn't film it, or is it expensive? Like, is it a big?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's the more. Yeah, I think that line is expensive, but also it goes to the like if he doesn't live.
That's true.
By the airport line,
that's true.
Because it's like an express line.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't live
by
near
the airport, it
yeah.
seems like he's like in Incheon, but like not.
Incheon's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incheon's big.
So they do. I mean, like it feels very like the move feels like he's free, right? There's a feeling that like Gyuho is now free in Seoul. And
moving to yes, okay.
In the moving, like they're in the moving truck. They're like there's a kind of it's the start of a new phase, right? But then like they just get bogged into like this domesticity that I don't think they're used to, and it truly like that's why people say like living together is like almost like the final test, right? To see if a relationship can work.
Yes.
And I always just think about how because we were roommates first. We really cheated the system.
We cheated the system. We really we speed ran. The other thing I wanted to talk about though with this Bangkok trip is the scene in the rain. So they get caught in the rain. They lay down on the ground outside.
They're feeling the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. Only you can let it in. No one else.
No one else.
No one else
can speak the words on your lips. So they're like letting the rain happen, and Go-young asks,
when I told you about Kylie and you said it was fine, was it really
was
fine?
it actually fine? And Gyuho says it was fine.
And he asks why, and he says, because whether you have it or not, you're still you.
It's tough.
But here's the thing. The show does not overtly show that is the root of his problems or why he's sad or why Go-young has trust issues. You know what I mean? Like it's not overtly being like, it's because of Kylie. It's just enough that percolates, right? Like subtextually, these drug tests.
I don't think he realizes that it is that. It's bigger than he is letting it be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are these blood tests that he has to keep taking for jobs. He had to technically have Gyuho do it.
Do the first one.
The first one to get his current job.
Get the corporate job.
Feels like he hasn't, made that connection that is...
Because he asks later, and this may be lost in translation.
Yeah.
He asks later if he's dirty.
If he's thought, do you like think I'm dirty?
And I think the joke goes back to episode 5 where he says like he makes dirty jokes.
Yes, yeah.
And I think it is a play on that. But that's why I was like, I can't tell if I'm supposed to also be drawing that. I think it's meant,
I mean...
Because I know it's the obvious, like, he's a dirty joke boy.
Right. Yeah.
But I couldn't tell if there was another meaning behind it. Because it felt to me that he kept waiting for Gyuho to be like, I actually hate that you have HIV and I'm leaving you.
Yes.
Like the whole episode.
It's like, it's like waiting...
Because
I think his name was Yoonsu. He wants that. He's waiting for that, so then it's clear why why he's not happy, why he's annoyed that he's in a space,
why they're not having sex,
Mm-hmm. And it's like, girl, because
you're both tired.
You're both tired. He works 2 fucking jobs, and now he's working 1 full time, and you're working 2 jobs. You write at night, you work in the day.
Yeah.
There's after Thailand.
Yes.
When they come back,
they go right into monotony.
Back and they're just like their lukewarm life is what he said it was. And they'll have
that one fight. Yes. That's really weird.
And then they'll have fights and they'll resent each other, and then they'll just forget that they resent each other, and then they just go back.
They don't talk about it.
Because they don't talk about it, and they just go back. But they showed like this one fight. They don't show the fight.
No.
But they show him packing his stuff and then leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then showing him on the app, looking for a place to stay.
Yes. On like a hookup app.
On a hookup app. And then coming back later that night.
And putting his stuff back.
And putting water in the fridge.
When he first leaves, Go-young is writing on his laptop. And you watch Gyuho leave. Go-young doesn't even look up from his nothing.
Just
when
writing.
he comes back in, they show Go-young go to his phone and turn off his additional alarms for the morning.
Yeah.
His earlier than 7 a.m. alarms. Because, okay.
And then there's that moment, right, where he's at the end, he's like, he sleeps so silently. And I wonder, is that me?
If he feels, well, that's what's
Has he done
weird.
that to me?
Because he didn't sleep silently.
No, he was snoring at the beginning of the show.
When he wasn't living there.
Yeah. Because he wasn't. Yeah. There's just these small things that
it's so minute.
Fascinating.
It's so little.
But those are the things that, those small things change. And
because him turning off the alarms is out of respect of like, well, I don't want to wake him up too early.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So
I
then,
mean, that's
like,
what I
turning
inferred.
those off, meaning like, okay, so then he's
back.
Here.
But so nonchalantly that it's like, this has happened before.
This has happened before, yeah. And then Gyuho putting the waters, refilling the waters again.
Yeah, and just going right back to it.
Right to sleep, yeah. Which makes me think, did he actually...
Oh, we didn't even talk about how they don't sleep in the same bed.
When they when he first moved, he noticed that he was snoring.
Gyuho noticed that Go-young snored. And I couldn't tell if that was the reason.
Or...
I don't know what the other reason is.
The physicality just felt like he also was just like not used to like sharing a bed like permanently.
Yes.
Because like staying the night.
That's one thing.
That's one thing. But like to actually, this is like what?
This is where I
fourth
sleep
night
now.
in a row where
Right.
I'm like, oh, we're actually safe. Yeah. So he like pulls out his futon and sleeps on that.
And they keep it in that arrangement for a year.
Yeah.
Or however long they've been living together.
Yeah.
And he remarks on it when he leaves to go to China that they're finally sleeping in the same bed together. Yeah. But I think that is one of the things that that makes Go-young nervous. He doesn't say anything though. This is what I'm talking about. So like he has this, it's the sex. There's a bunch of little things that I think he is internalizing it as like, oh, he doesn't want me anymore. And he's saying, oh, it's because I told him about Kylie. I think this all goes back to that for him.
But it's
maybe not even consciously.
But it's interesting because it doesn't feel like Yuho's given him any reason to think that.
No, I think the show is very good at showing that it's like fully Go-young kind of losing.
Because they are in such close proximity and he's the first person he sees in the morning and the last person he sees, that's all he's thinking about. It's like, what is he thinking?
Yeah.
It's nice when you're married and have lived together for so long that I already know what Adam thinks all the time. So there's no question. If he's not answering his phone when I'm not at home and he is, I know he's taking a 3-hour nap. He goes to China. He says that they are
opening a hospital.
A hospital.
Hospital.
They're opening a hospital. And he says it right away that like, I don't want to go if you don't want to go with me.
Yes.
And and he's like, if you want to go, we'll make it work. We'll find your job or whatever. But
this is again where all these things keep happening in the episode where I was like, oh, this is where it's headed. So when we were in the moving van and they were holding hands and he was resting his head on his shoulder and the moving truck guy was right there, I was like, they're about to be hate crimes. Then that didn't happen. Then this sequence, then Bangkok, then this sequence happened. And I was like, oh, he's going to say,
no, I don't want to move.
Or not that he didn't want to move, but he was going to be like,
I thought it was going to be a fight.
Yeah, you should break up with me then because like you deserve to like go blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which kind of is what happens overall in the episode, but that's not, it's not a 1-to-1 why.
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't. He says like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, we'll go.
I do think that the joke of like, you don't even like hot pie.
No, you don't even like. He's like, do you like Chinese food? Not really. Well, you start there, I guess, because that's what you're gonna eat when you're there, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. They start taking Chinese classes together. They start working towards going to China
actively. It is not just Go-young saying this, and like he's not following through.
Right. He looks for a transfer to the Chinese office for his job in Go-young. And then realizes that he also has to take another HIV test. Which is just, can we just say, the show I think is obviously showing this as like, this is crazy. Like this.
I think that's part of the visa, getting the visa for China.
No, it was for, but I think like a work visa.
Yeah.
But it was through work.
Right. But I think it might be.
Yeah, but he had to do one for that job anyway.
Well, he had to do a blood. They specifically say in this that
a physical and a blood test.
They are testing for HIV on that document.
Yeah.
Which is why he like knows that he will not pass it.
Which is just crazy.
Because the original test, it was just a blood test, but it didn't. They weren't checking for it. It didn't seem like that was what they were just worried that they might have to.
Yeah.
So we should have you go in for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he tells Gyuho that someone else got picked. We don't know if it's real or not. I don't think it is, because the way he says it, it's like, well, I wouldn't have passed the test anyway, meaning the Mandarin proficiency test.
Right.
And Gyuho was like, we've been taking the class. Carl, we can hold a conversation. We've been taking the class.
So he convinces Gyuho to go alone, that it's still a good opportunity for Gyuho. Yeah. There's no fight. Gyuho agrees. They slowly start to pack and get him ready to move.
They don't talk about anything. They just help him pack.
They completely avoid it.
They spend the last night together. They're walking to the train, blah, 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 blah. They're finally at the airport. He's checked in his bag and they sit down. And Gyuho says, "Will you wait for me?" And Adam and I were like, this
can't be where you're having this conversation.
This can't be the first time you guys have talked about this. 2 years? You're already at the airport and you're like, so are we going to stay together?
Well, because the first thing Go-young says is, they say it's better if you date someone.
If you date a local.
Because then you'll learn the language faster. And that's when he says, are we breaking up? And he does not reply.
Not an answer.
He just smiles.
Yeah. And then he says, why are you smiling? It's like, I'm always smiling. He's eating a little bread and he throws it on his lap and leaves.
He just gets on the plane.
And Go-young takes the train back and he is crying. Finishing the bread. And then the voiceover is like, it's like we're just back to being strangers, like passing strangers.
We're going to be passing strangers. He'll just remember me one like day joke. As the dirty joke.
As like a dirty joke. This one... It did not make me feel good after that episode.
No, it didn't make me feel good, but I think this one is fully like Go-young. I think Go-young self-sabotaged this. Listen, I think they had problems. I'm not saying that there was like... It was peachy keen. But I think...
Hurt people.
I think Go-young is not in a place where he...
Can open up.
Feels that he deserves to be loved.
Yeah.
And I think there is genuinely a part of it that it is because of his status.
Absolutely. He can't even tell his friends, his family. Like he literally, the people that he truly believes as his family.
Yep.
He doesn't even he can't even tell them about Kylie.
I thought it was a really good episode.
It really was.
It made me feel a lot of mixed emotions, and it was very hard to watch.
These episodes are just so... There is not a moment wasted.
No, not at all.
Oh.
And also all the little things we were talking about, just like it builds the whole story.
Totally.
Without feeling I need to spend like 20 minutes on why he turns off the alarms, right? Like it's just
they just show it, and then if you pick it up, you pick it up.
And if you don't, it's still clear.
Yeah.
But it adds so much. It's so good. The show is so good. I do not know how the show ends.
I have no idea.
I do not think they're going to kill Go-young. I think that would be absolutely crazy. I don't think as many people would be recommending the show and saying it's as good as it is if he dies at the end of the series.
He must...
Because that would be very kill your gaze.
Yeah.
Which I think people are...
I think he reunites...
cognizant of and don't like.
I think they reunite.
Him and Gyuho?
Him and Gyuho. older. I think.
I cannot believe.
I think we're gonna fast forward 2 years.
We haven't done pandemic.
I know. Well, that's the thing. The next 2 years will be pandemic, won't it? Which that's what I'm afraid of. The next 2 years are gonna be pandemic. He's gonna be stuck in China.
Oh my god.
He's in fucking China, Adam. He's in Shanghai.
Oh no.
Yeah.
He's a nurse in China.
He's a nurse in China in 2019, and he's going to be there for 2 years. Do the math.
Oh no.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's going to be like a scare.
No.
I think we are going to see pandemic to like see like how he tries to go through it. And I think genuinely he's probably going to be scared. Like, is he going to survive?
Bang pots and pans?
I think so, girl.
For the healthcare workers?
We're going to start Lysoling our fruit.
Oh no. Not Lysoling the Frosted Flakes.
Guys, we were there Lysoling our Honey Bunches of Oats box.
What do you mean? All of us, everyone who's watching this lived through this. Unless you happen to be a 2-year-old watching this channel, then congrats.
Well,
you missed
off.
it.
We're Cocoa Melon for them.
Oh, I hope that's not. Oh, God. I mean, I think it would be really well done if they do it, but boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Maybe it's in a fantasy world where it never happened.
Maybe. Thank God. Hallelujah.
Gyo did a really good performance, but I think Goyoung is my MVP for this episode.
I'll give it to Gyo.
But I mean, it's a two-hander.
It's a two-hander of this episode, for sure. I liked the little old man that got his blood taken.
Yeah, and they were like, "Wow, you got him."
Yeah, I really liked the boss at the corporate job.
Because she also doesn't care.
Yes,
in a different way that he doesn't care. Yeah.
But yeah, it really is just the two of them the whole episode.
Yeah.
Great performance from the truck driver.
Yeah.
Really stoic.
Really open-minded truck driver.
Very liberal.
Well, in his mind, he's like, well, that's nice that his Hyung is helping him.
So progressive, yeah. Look at these two Hyungs. Just so funny.
Yeah,
I
literally have no idea where it's going to go.
I think if you ever find yourself a Gyuho, keep him. Do your best to keep him. Yeah,
that's the thing.
So just to anyone who's listening,
I am Gyuho. And RJ is a self-saboteur.
So just green flags all around.